So, if you're a little bit closer to my age, you remember a time not in the such distant past where everyone sang the praises of people who could multitask. Multitasking, multitasking, multitasking. And so that's fine. But the truth of the matter is maybe you weren't as efficient as you should have been, and maybe it was just a lot of pressure that was being put on people to get more done than they really needed to get done, or they simply couldn't prioritize what they had to get done first. And so I felt like I had to get everything done for all people all the time. Now, met a lot of people who wore that sort of multitasking thing as a badge of honor, but when it was really happening was maybe a certain amount of chaos, and maybe it wasn't the most efficient way to prioritize and get things done. So count it not too strange that the same generation that came up with multitasking also came up with attention deficit disorder. Go figure. And they passed it on to their kids, and of course you need Adderall. Hey, everything's great now. Got a lot done, getting a lot done, multitasking, multitasking, multitasking. What you're creating is maybe in an environment that's not organized, maybe it's chaotic, maybe schizophrenic even. In any regard, it's not organized and you're not prioritizing your number one thing first. Do first things first, like Stephen Covey told us 30 years ago. So like it often does in society, the pendulum is now swinging to a different place. We are going from multitasking, and studies are now showing us a lot of things around context changing or context switching. In a nutshell, this means that if I'm focused on one thing and I am single-mindedly focused on a thing, and something else draws my attention and it requires a deeper sense of thought and care, that my context is going to have to shift. And when it does, it can take as much as 20 or 30 minutes for my brain to actually catch up to what it is I need to pay attention to in that moment. So if we put ourselves in situations where our context is having to switch several times throughout the day or several times within an hour or even a half hour, we are not going to operate as efficiently as we need to, because our attention span is going to be at odds with context. So as sales professionals, we struggle with this. So what the heck is the answer? Well, the answer is we're going to have to reestablish a little bit of discipline in terms of how we run our day. So number one, stay single-minded focused as much as you possibly can, and do that in small sprints, which means I'm going to focus on what I'm going to focus on for a half hour or an hour, and that's it. I'm not going to allow any interruptions to come into my world. This means a recommitment to time blocking, unfortunately, which is a struggle that we all have day in and day out as sales professionals. How do I stay single-minded focused? How do I keep my context in alignment with what I have to focus on? You need to plan in advance to say, for this hour, I am going to do this thing and nothing else. The next thing, which is a little trick that I've employed with a lot of my clients, is I go and do something called even day, odd day. So even day, odd day is maybe on even days, you're doing something very administrative, and on odd days, you're doing something very creative. Or in your time blocking, you'll say, oh, on even days, I prospect, and that means I'm making phone calls, and I'm in that I'm in that boiler room kind of mentality. I'm sending out text, phone call, email. And I'm certainly not going to try to do a creative flyer or do some sort of presentation crafting on my even days, because my even days are for hardcore administrative outreach, right? So another way you could do this instead of taking the whole even day, odd day is morning and afternoon. So within your time blocking context, you can say, you know what, I do all my prospecting in the morning and I do it on even days. So this is kind of setting you up to have a reoccurring pattern where you're not going to have to shift your mindset very much. Now, the last thing is, for God's sakes, don't answer the phone. So a really bad habit we all have is as soon as the phone rings, we reach to the phone and we pick it up and we're Johnny on the spot. Now, sometimes that's important because if we're in some kind of a critical transaction or some sort of a critical customer service event, we want to get resolution on that. And sometimes that helps us clear our mind. However, what it also does is it pulls us way out of where we're supposed to be in any given time. So you might want to time block those times where you're going to return phone calls around customer service issues, even if they're serious. Find the discipline, because what happens is other people will pull you out of where you have to be on a daily basis and a weekly basis. When you're time blocking yourself around the things that you have to do, you need to guard that time, guard it with your life, because this is your business. And ultimately, if you're not guarding that time, no one else is going to guard it for you. Your context is going to be switching out on a regular basis, and it's going to be really difficult for you to focus and have the efficiency that you need to have.
Please hit that subscribe button, and don't forget, visit our website and schedule your free 30-minute evaluation.